My name is Devin Johnson. I am the program coordinator for Emory Center for Maternal Substance Abuse and Child Development. So I'll be leading today's discussion, but before we begin, can I find out who is in the room? Can we just have brief introductions, and you can just state your name, agency, or the county that you serve.
Devin, I get started. I'm Harry Stevenson with the Council on Alcohol and Drugs. I work with the Alcohol and Substance Abuse Prevention Project down in Southeast Georgia, South Central Georgia. We cover Telfair County, Wheeler County, Montgomery County, Truitland County, and Candler County over there at Metter. And we've been working in these counties for almost about 9 years now. And our goal is to reduce underage drinking.
Awesome, thank you, Harry. Anyone else?
Go to town, remember that track?
Hello. My name is Corey Dobbs. I'm with Beyond the Bell. I'm at the Savannah location. We're also in DeKalb County and Upton County. And we work to prevent underage drinking and to prevent drug use in underage youth.
Great. Thank you, Corey.
I'll go next. I'm Carolyn Fields. I work for Hearts for Families is my agency. And I am currently working in Swainsboro and Millen. That's in Swainsboro is Emmanuel County, Millen is Jenkins County. We're right next door to Harry in Metter. I am working with underage drinking also with an alcohol prevention grant in these two counties. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Joel Rogers. I'm in Telfair County, Georgia, which is McRae. I'm the Family Connection Coordinator in one of Mr. Harry's counties, Telfair County. Happy to be here. Good to see you all.
Thanks, Joel.
All right, I'll jump in right here. I'm Chris Manning. I'm the Associate Executive Director for the Council. So I'm working statewide on virtually everything, including a big emphasis in the drug-free workplace programs across the state of Georgia.
Awesome. I think we just have Elaine left.
I'm Elaine Hortman with Centerpoint. We're in Gainesville, it's North Georgia, and we work with a grant for underage drinking, reducing underage drinking.
Great. Well, happy to have you all in the room today. I'm sure you guys know we have our Substance Abuse Prevention Advocacy Day coming up, and hopefully you guys have attended in the past and plan on attending it coming up soon in March. So again, I want to emphasize, looks like we have Louis Ponzo. We'll let him introduce himself very quickly. Hi, Louis. Hey. Oh, I'm mute. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Hello, everyone. I'm Louis Ponzo, the Regional Prevention Specialist for Region 2 and 3. And I'm just here to learn, and I guess I participate as much as I can. So.
Great. Yes, so I was just reminding everyone that our Substance Abuse Prevention Advocacy Day is coming up. How many of you all, just show of hands, have visited in the past? Okay, great. All right, so a good number of us. Just as a reminder, you can visit openstates.org to find out who your representative is. And also the V4P staff is here, and we encourage you to reach out to us if you need help talking with your legislator. So I'm going to put up a document really quickly just for some discussion on alcohol. And I want you all to take a minute just to view it. Hold on, let me share my screen. There we go. Okay. Everyone can see this well? Okay. I'm going to enter it full screen. All right, so just take a minute to review some of the information here. on the screen, and we're going to have a conversation about some of these topics that we're discussing so that we can learn to use some of these points to bring them up to our legislators for our advocacy day. So just take a moment really quickly and review. All right, so as you all are reading through this, and again, this is a discussion, so please feel free to unmute your mics and jump in at all times. What are some important messages regarding prevention issues that you might want to communicate to your legislator based on some of the information that you see presented here?
I'm going to jump in and just mention that social hosting is something that we've been working on statewide. I know that there are a lot of communities that have ordinances that have been working on this, and either have ordinances that have been passed or are still working on it. And as people in the field and in the prevention field, we would love to have a statewide social host law, which we haven't been we haven't been able to accomplish that yet. But it's interesting to me how many people are not aware what social hosting is, even the concept of that. And I don't know how many of our elected officials even know what that means. And I think that one of the things that I've seen in local communities, people say, well, we already have laws against providing alcohol to minors, so why do we need another law? And so that, I think, is something that I would like to discuss in terms of how do we present this? How do we educate our legislators about what social hosting is and why what we have now currently isn't working, and the benefits of what this would bring to not just communities, but also to the state?
Yeah, Esther brings up a great point about social hosting, and that kind of leads me to another question. What are some of the issues going on in your community that you would push to legislators at this time? Anyone have a, related to alcohol, a pressing issue related to that, or using some of the information presented here?
Can I pipe in for a second?
Yeah, please.
Yes, I was really impressed. We were pulling together some data on our COVID plan, but I know the PI department just provided a very brand new set of stats that I thought would be helpful for you guys. That was talking about year over year increase in alcohol purchasing and use, particularly in this time where everybody is in a confined space. And of course, it's really easy to translate the connection between that and all the things that we're dealing with in our community. So, you know, that might be super relevant right now, and a very good way to introduce social host liability and, you know, talk about some of these things. I know over in Athens, you know, we were super concerned, as I think everybody in the entire state is, that, you know, they approved to start delivering alcohol. So you could just hop on an app or hop on a website or hop on the phone and just order a few cases of beer and they'll deliver it to your house now. And we very quickly found out that, you know, there were no protocols in place, essentially, that you would think would be responsible protocols, you know, to make sure that people are even just 21 years old. So, you know, in the local region, they got letters out to everybody, all the restaurants and all the retailers in the community. And that gave them a second to pause and say, oh my gosh, we should probably pay attention to that. So, you know, I think any of those stats, and Esther, if you don't have those directly, I can shoot you over what I read, because I was so impressed with it that I included it in the Drug-Free Workplace presentation this morning. So
Please do, because we're finalizing these, and any current data, anything that would help us improve these would be great. Yesterday, I don't know how many of you were able to be on the webinar with Dr. Jernigan. It was amazing, by the way. He's always great. But what I loved about yesterday's was the fact that he really personalized it for us, for Georgia. And Dr. Greg and I spent a lot of time with him prior to let him know this is what our event is. This is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to do in terms of encouraging people to meet with their legislators, not just this day. And again, that's one thing that we'll be going over a little bit. I think we have a tips for talking to legislators virtually. We don't want it to be just one day. We want it to be year round. And one of the things that he mentioned was telling a story, making it personal. One of the communities that I worked with when I was with the ASAP, with the Underage Drinking Initiative, was Gordon County. And we recently received a DFC grant for Gordon County, so we'll continue to work there. But I found out a story. You're talking about having alcohol delivered. Several years ago, we were doing the community readiness assessments, and I was speaking to a law enforcement officer who said that they recently had to deal with a taxi company because kids were using the taxi company to bring them alcohol. So they would call the taxi company up, not for a ride. They would say, okay, go to such and such, whatever, buy the alcohol. They would pay for the alcohol. They would pay for the drive or the taxi fee. And the kids were getting alcohol without even having to leave the house. And to be able to share those kind of local stories that really, again, affect these elected officials at home, I think are the kind of things that Dr. Jernigan was talking about, and making it relevant. Like Chris was saying, what's happening now? These are the stories of what's happening now that's affecting our kids, our communities, and being able to relate that. Relate that.
Yeah. We have, and I can share this on my screen, but we're able to send out the tips for legislators to everyone also, right? Yeah, I think if you guys can distribute that amongst your communities, that would be very helpful in preparation for our Substance Abuse Advocacy Day. It has all those points that Esther was just mentioning.
We can actually share that on the screen. I think you have that one, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So, all right, so you guys can see these tips here. So he mentions a few things again, of course, prior to the meeting, do some homework just to educate yourself on the senator and representative. Try to know the basics about the topic, which is why we wanted to have some of this topic discussion, and practice what you're going to say ahead of time. And so that's something that we can do now also as well. Maybe taking kind of a role play. So how would you address your legislator with the issue that you might have going on in your community? So we talked about sharing some of that data, but again, how would you role play that situation? And would it be helpful to keep these up, you think, Esther, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
I think so. I think it's helpful to see these as people, if they're thinking about doing some role play, it'd be good for them to see that.
Esther and Devin, something too to keep in mind, it's real powerful when you have the young people actually present the information to the legislator from your district. They kind of expect you to do it, but when the young people come, and the most effective I've ever been is when I was able to take a group of kids to the Capitol, and we met in our state representative's office, and he really didn't talk to me. He looked to the students, and he asked them, like, okay, so what is this all about? And then they started sharing what they were there for. They started sharing what our strategies were. They started explaining what the strategy we used and why we used it and why it would be effective and why we, have picked that. Really, I was impressed because they actually were listening to everything I was trying to tell them. And really, I was trying to go guide the discussion and bring them in, and the state representative basically stepped in and, he started asking questions, and he wasn't really looking to me at all. And that, so, but I think he was highly impressed by what he got in the feedback. So if you can get your youth involved into a way that they can explain and they can discuss and they can actually bring out the statistics and also talk about the strategies and what you're trying to accomplish and why it's important to them. Because if you're dealing with underage drinking, you're talking about them. You're talking about their friends. You're talking about their high school. You're talking about their community. And I think it's more effective if you can do that. And if you got youth that you have confidence in that, or, that can do that. So anyway, that's just my little tidbit there. I just wanted to throw in while I was thinking about it. So
Thank you, Harry. I'm going to jump in because we just had a Dover Youth to Youth training this past week on Tuesday, I think it was. And we will have three more of those trainings to help prepare youth and to help the advisors in order to work with the youth. So yes, I wholeheartedly agree with what Harry said, being able to bring youth and have them prepared. There's nothing better than have a youth that knows what they're saying, that can give the information. And that's kind of our role as the adults, as the advisors, to help prepare them and then let them go in there and do their thing. And this Dover Youth to Youth training, if you haven't attended yet, we will have more opportunities. But yes, I will second what Harry said about getting the youth involved, definitely.
Great. Anyone else have any tips, having met with legislator, about how they might want to address them or some issues that they might want to bring up to their legislator? We're representing a few counties in here, so I am curious to know. Anyone else? Okay, well,
Devin, another point I wanted to make too is, sometimes we put a lot of emphasis on this one special day where we're all going to congregate in Atlanta at the Capitol, and it's all exciting and everything. But to be honest with you, I think where we drop the ball sometimes is that we don't meet with our people in their community where they're from and where we're from. And I think we need to develop, like, maybe this is a kickstart for the 2021. But our goal should be is that we're not just a one-shot deal, but we're building a relationship, and that we're meeting with them locally, and also inviting them to come and see what we're accomplishing or what we're doing or what we're trying to do in the local high schools and stuff and things like that, or the community. If we have a community campaign or something, to have them, invite them or go by their local office as well. So I think sometimes we just kind of, I've been to a bunch of these, and I've been like to the Washington, D.C., and we go by and see a congressman, but sometimes we fail to follow up and continue to build that relationship where they begin to learn who we are and what our program is. So just for some advice and something I need to start working on more myself is just continue to be in contact, continue to be in touch, and also have the students write them or whatever if something comes up, and just continue to build a good relationship over the years instead of just one or two times, we kind of have a special meeting or whatever. So that's just my advice as we go forward, to build like a long-term strategy and not just a short-term strategy.
Yeah. I think that is, a great piece of advice. And I think definitely combining those tools and maybe even sharing some of these tips on meeting virtually with some of the students as well. I know Esther did mention the Dover training, but I think that this could apply to all age groups here. So we'll definitely make sure to send out a copy of this. Is there anyone else that would like to share some of the things going on in their community related to alcohol that would be of interest for legislators?
I actually want to emphasize, I don't have a local community thing. I think a lot of times, and I know that for years I had this where I'm going to go in there and I'm going to tell them or give them information, right? But one of the things that we sometimes forget is to make that ask.
Yeah.
We have to call, we have to have that ask. What is the action that we want them to do? We have to, there's a line, right? Especially if you receive federal funding or state funding, we can't ask them to vote for a specific thing or go ordinance or bill. We have to be very careful about that, but we can definitely ask them that we need, there's a reason why taxes are an effective way to lessen the availability of alcohol, for example. These are some examples of how this has happened. You're not telling them what to vote on or what to do. You're giving them information, but you're also making an ask, giving them something that they can actually do. And I think sometimes we forget that part during these visits. I know they have to be short and we have to be able to, get in as much as we can during that time. But we should always try to remember that part, the ask part.
Yeah, I'm gonna, and while you bring that up, I do want to share the other document, which was the infographic. And again, you did make the point to say that these are not finalized, right, Esther?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, I'll share with you Feed for Peace, and this is really beautifully done. So thank you for providing this as a resource to us. Let's see here.
We had a training recently at the council and someone mentioned that this was a good idea.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
I think if you zoom to 100, we might be able to see the whole thing,
Okay.
maybe. And
Yeah,
so what we're doing, if I may explain what we're trying to do, the fact sheet has so much information on there. We're dividing this into 2 to 3 infographics per fact sheet, subdividing them by topics. For example, effects of alcohol versus what can we do, like the taxes, social hosting. So we are looking at dividing these up and making them more visual. And these will be available not just for Prevention Day, like I said. We're going to make these available on our website so that if you're looking for a document you can give to a local key stakeholder, the mayor, a commissioner, someone else that you need to give information to, these will be available for everyone to use.
yeah. As well as you do have the written part of it also that you'll be sharing with everyone.
Yes, we will have the fact sheet once it's finalized, as well as the infographics, which contain the same information, just in a different way.
By the way, those look phenomenal, Esther. Great
Thank
job.
you. Thank you. I had nothing to do with that except for asking someone to do it. So I want it pretty.
No, that's a great resource.
Thank you. I just want to mention, I just got a text from Marcial, the time we're almost up. So if we need to start wrapping up, because they're going to give us the warning pretty soon.
I only have one comment to make about what everybody else was talking about. And that is, don't discount the opportunity to use tools like we're using right now, Zoom. The availability is up for the local legislators. It would not be challenging, like we just saw, to have a single infographic page to show them. And like Harry mentioned, have 3 or 4 local people that have been impacted in some way, and to educate them using Zoom or GoToMeeting or any of these tools that we're using now. I mean, definitely a phenomenal way. And you don't have to get everybody in a van or a bus or something and take them halfway across the state. So to definitely take advantage of this right now, because I think yes, there's a lot of meetings going on, but I think because everybody's not driving to work in the morning and back in the afternoon, and not necessarily always going out to lunch and doing all these things, there's a few extra hours, a couple extra hours in a day to kind of squeeze this type of activity in, which would be very, very effective.
Just to plug again, we are available to help set those up. I know some people, including myself, technical, the whole technology is newer. We're getting used to it. If you have a hard time and need help, if they're not already willing to set it up, that visit, please let us know. We will help with any way we can to help set those appointments up.
Thank you for that, Esther. All right, we should be wrapping up soon, you said? Okay. So please stay on. We're gonna report out when we get back to the main group, and then we'll share some updates for the following webinars leading up to Substance Abuse Prevention Advocacy Day. So thank you all for your participation and being here today.